What's up, guys? Uh, Welcome to the weekly watch list video. Let's go over some stuff. So let's take a look at watch list, major stocks, and then we'll go from there. So starting with SPY, and let's do it. Let's go with ES. So ES on the weekly chart, we can see here that it looks like we're building a higher low to make a new high. SPY actually did make a new high, I believe, this past week. Sure did. And so it's pretty bullish. In the short term, we could see a pullback. We need the moving averages to catch up. But right now, we're seeing the previous all-time high act as a little bit of resistance, had a little bit of a red day. The QQQ was slightly weaker. Um, we delete all this. We can see that the Qs have not made a new high yet. But if we look at this, we had this breakout of this trend line, just had a basically break out of this channel where we're making lower highs and lower lows. Maybe we come back to retest that at 520. It really just depends on earnings. So we're gonna have to keep an eye out because we've got a few big earnings coming up this week that we can go over. So if we look at, we'll just start here. So we've got Spot or Microsoft, which is building this huge base, big weekly squeeze. This one could give us a pretty nice move to the upside if it can finally break out. I'd be looking for it above this level here where this previous pivot was, but you can see we're continuing to build higher lows. And we've got a nice weekly squeeze and the price action's continuing to get more tight, and it looks like we could break out at any point. So definitely want to keep an eye on this one. I think on pullbacks, we should buy it, but we do have earnings coming up this week. This is one of the ones that has earnings coming up. Okay, so you definitely want to keep an eye on that one. QQQ, talked about that. SPY, talked about that. They're still in uptrends. And then you can see here for AVGO, really nice looking squeeze here on the daily time frame. And we're kind of just trading sideways and probably waiting to see what's going on. And maybe we need to build this out a little bit longer before it decides to break out. But it seems that 450 is kind of that key area of where it'll need to get through to break out of. NVIDIA, this one's in basically trading in a range. So if we can get a breakout above 150, that's kind of where you're going to want to look to potentially play it long. Um, it's been really sideways action and has really had trouble breaking the previous high. So be on the lookout for 150. Be on the lookout for the break of that previous high. And then if we take a look at SMH, SMH is trying to break out as well. So you can see here we kind of had the high of this range right here, and then if we want to mark the actual low, we are trading in this range where we're kind of just stuck. So if we can break out of this range, then you'll want to look for continued upside. I'm interested to see it reject at a fib level. Pretty close. Yep. So that's 786. So if we can reclaim the 786, that would be a good sign for the semis. But I believe we have weekly buy signals printing on this and have been. You can see we had two really low volume weeks. Now we're starting to get potential breakout. So we'll have to keep an eye on this. If we do get that, we will get a nice move in NVIDIA. But also looking at like TSM, this one has already been on the move. So you can see here we had this resistance here at around 205. We broke out of that and have been making new highs, and we're currently trading at 225 now. Um, so we had earnings come out, it gapped us up, and then we've had a continuation of earnings. So I would look to watch to play this for a move into 230. And this is probably the semiconductor that I'd pay attention to because unlike the others, this one has already broken out and is right near all-time highs. We're 2% away from all-time highs. Um, Tesla, this one looks like it's just building a flag um, into the earnings. So I think this week earnings come out, so we just have to wait for this one to give out earnings and see what happens. But you can see we had this nice run up of basically since the election. We had a run up of about 100%. So definitely needs some time to chill out. Netflix, this one had earnings last week, was a good beat. Now it's just digesting the news, trading sideways. I think there will be an opportunity if this can break out above 1,000, and then look for continuation on that once it gets above 1,000. Google, this one's building a nice flag, trying to break 200. Um, so what I'd be looking for is can we break that 201 level? And then from there, if we can, then look to trade it to the upside. Personally, I would just look to trade the initial breakout and see if we can get a run into earnings. That's kind of what I'll be looking for. But other than that, I will probably stay on the sidelines. For the actual earnings report. So keep an eye out for that one. Meta broke out last week after trading in its range for quite a while. Finally broke out and is seeing new all-time highs. We had that breakout of 630 and is now trading at 650. So that was a nice breakout last week. TSM we discussed. Amazon similar story as the indexes, looks pretty close to the same, just showing more strength. So you can see we had lower highs and lower lows, building this bull flag. We broke 230 and then pushed up to 236. We have potential to make it up to 240. Weekly chart was a clean weekly flag. Bitcoin looks like it's flagging, has been trading sideways. I do think if we break these highs, and then I always struggle saying this word, the inauguration high, I think we can see some continued upside in Bitcoin. It really just comes down to if we can break out above that level. But we are seeing increased buyer volume. So that's usually a good sign. So we want to look for that breakout of this level here. Make sure you have alert set. We do have a daily buy signal. So if you wanted to try and get in early, I think this is one of the better spots in the market to be. We went over ES, we went over NQ. NQ has been printing daily buys, so let's see if that can continue to push us into a new high. Meta or Apple, I don't think you want to touch this one. This looks really bad. So definitely the worst looking index since selling off in earnings. So this earnings report may be priced in. So keep that in mind. Let's see. Okay, so that goes for the big heavy hitter names, kind of the key names to pay attention to. So now let's go into my watch list. I've got about 15 or so on my watch list, but I'm going to give you the key or the main charts that I'm paying attention to that I've found over the weekend. So um, probably my favorite one here is this INSM. So really random name, but you can see had this big gap up um, on high volume, very high volume. So if we go max it out, you can see, let's see, that high volume candle gave us that gap up, and that's the highest volume that has ever been recorded on this stock. And so then we've been creating this flag and trading sideways since what is that? So I guess September of 2024. And now we're knocking up on that pivot break. So I'm looking for a breakout of that level. And you can see here we built this massive, massive base. I am going to spend a little more time looking at the fundamentals for this, but it doesn't look like from where we sit it doesn't look like we have any resistance until we get to about $100. So where this huge wick is, and then if we get through that, the last resistance level is going to be one, or the next resistance is going to be 110. So potentially we have like a um, and you can see volume coming in. We have about 22% potential upside on this breakout. So yeah, I'm definitely paying attention to this. Keep an eye on it. You can see high volume on the run up, and then now we've been having low volume since then. So I'm really interested in this chart. So keep an eye on this one. Another one I've got marked uh, CRAI. This one you can see really low volume here, but looks like we had some sort of news come out and pushed us back down. But ultimately, we're creating this flag and uh, hitting this previous double top resistance, which was all-time highs, I believe. And so I'm looking for, okay, maybe we can get a push back up into 200. And then from there, a new all-time high. So that one's a solid looking chart. The price action's getting really tight. And I think we could see a breakout on this one this week. Let's see. ATAT. So this one, it looks like we're having a little bit of a cup and handle pattern forming. This is an IBD 50 stock, I believe. And I'm looking for a push up into $30. We're creating this flag, trading sideways. We've got the cup, we've got the handle. So now I'm looking for, okay, can we have a breakout and a push to the upside and have a breakout into new all-time highs on this one. Um, and then Burlington. This one, the price action is getting very, very tight. So I'm definitely interested in if we can get a breakout above resistance right here, and then we've got 300 right here as a psych level. If we can break out above that, we've been printing tons of buy signals. We had a nice run up into earnings, and then we've had low volume ever since. So you definitely want to keep an eye on this one as it looks like we may have a nice breakout to the upside. Um, and I think, let's see, CPRX. Nah, to remember. Okay, so this one here has earnings a little sooner, in a couple weeks, but this one, recent IPO, looks like we could see a nice breakout above this pivot, and you can see strong buyer volume came in here. So I'd be looking for a breakout above this 34-ish dollars, and then we can push into a new high. And then from there, we could potentially see a push up into $38. So this is a really constructive pattern. Big fan of this setup. And so those are kind of the main ones that I'm paying attention to. A couple other ones that I would want to mention are Futu. This one actually broke out of this longer term base, came back, retested it, and now looks like it's breaking out on high volume um, out of this flag. So it should be interesting, especially if we get above the $100 level. LEU, this one, similar story. Got a nice push up on high volume, got a breakout. This one has earnings coming up pretty quickly, so I'm probably going to remove this one for now. Um, and then APP, Kins. So this one looks like it's built a nice flag here. So I'm looking at this is kind of creating a similar pattern here. So want to see if we can break out of this one. And then the last one I'll give you is Gamble. So this one has already broke out of its flag. It's kind of been trading in its IPO base. So I'm looking forward, can we break out above here and then potentially move into a new high with Super Bowl coming up, all that good stuff. So that is my watch list going into this week. I hope it helps. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you for the markets this week.